is up, my people? My name is Stifflered, and welcome back to the cafe, where we talk about tools, tips, and tricks to take your Minecraft creations to the next level. This is the second episode of the brand new Minecraft podcast known as Friends of the Server, and man, is this one a great one. I had so much fun interviewing GyllieGyllie, and he has brought a lot of experience to the conversation. As a former Badlion Network employee and developer, he also worked on the Badlion competitive Minecraft client. And man, he just has so much information to share. This turned into a really fantastic interview. I'm so honored to be able to interview these really talented and experienced people, and I'm looking forward to interviewing some of you as well. If you'd be interested in doing an interview in the future, then please definitely reach out to me on Discord or Twitter or wherever it is that you can find me. The links are down in the show notes below. Before we get into the conversation, I've got to mention that I appreciate my sponsors and supporters. There are a few of you out there who have donated already to keep the channel alive and to help kick off this podcast. And so I just want to say thanks so much to all of you. If you are interested in helping keep the lights on and buy me a coffee, keep the cafe running strong on that caffeine, there's a link down in the description where you can donate and show your love, and I appreciate it very much. Oh, I just broke a block. Whoops. Anyway, guys, enough rambling from me. I have a great podcast to share with you right now, so we're going to get right into it. We'll see you around. What is up, people? My name is Stifflered, and I am so glad to be here today. We are ready for another podcast episode where I interview a fellow server owner and experienced developer, and this is actually a pretty cool guest that I have here with me. Now, before I introduce him, I will say that we are in a brand new survival 1.13 world, and we're just going to be having some fun trying to set up a little base here. You can see I've already got started with a little tree farm there. But the man who is here with me today is a former Badlion employee. He worked as a developer over there, and he is also getting ready to start his own server, and his name is GyllieGyllie. And he is right there behind me. Hey, Gyllie, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for asking. Thanks so much for being here today.
No problem. It's a pleasure.
Excellent. Well, hey, this is your first time in Minecraft 1.13, yeah?
Yep, that's correct. I haven't played it myself because I've been too busy since it came out. So yeah, I haven't messed around with it yet.
Well, cool. This should be a bit of fun. I have actually, you've already got a few little tools there, and I don't really have much of a plan for what to do. I think that we can just kind of have some fun and hang out while we chat a little bit. I know that you do have a server that is coming soon at some point, right?
Yep, that's right.
But
it's
that
still
is not yet available, is what I understand. So we are here on this Minecraft 1.13 world. But I think that you guys who are listening in are going to enjoy this episode. Anyway, Gyllie has a lot of great experience, and not just as a developer, but also a server owner. And so, we can talk a lot about that, even if we don't get to see his server like I would normally like to do. Maybe we can come back in the future and check that out. But let's get into these questions here. So, Gyllie, why don't you tell people a little bit, because your server is in development, if you don't mind, just tell people a little bit about what this server is that you're planning on opening in the future, and maybe if you have a name for it or anything like that, just to kind of share a little bit of information so they know that you are a server owner and what they can expect to come out of you in the future.
Yeah, so we do indeed have a name already. The server is going to be called Project Pork. For some people, the name might already sound familiar because it's been a server that already existed, which got shut down 2 years ago when I joined the Badlion team. Because I was not allowed to have another server. But I decided to just reuse the name because I really loved the server and I was sad I had to shut it down. So I just wanted to reuse the name to bring it back to life and bring all back the memories that we used to have on the server.
Yeah.
So our plan for the server is that we want to kind of focus on two different areas. The first part is just bringing some fun game modes where the old community that used to be on Project Pork can come back together and have some fun, and also try and meet some new people. So we want to offer some fun game modes there that are we're trying to be unique with them, so we just don't offer games that are already on other servers. So we're trying to create our own unique touch on some of these games. And for the release, we are planning on offering a free-for-all style of game and a UHC run style of game. So that's for the fun part we kind of want to do. So it's more the casual part of mini games. Then for the more competitive side of Minecraft, we want to offer a new place for like the clan scene and the people that like to play these kind of mini games where you just have team games where you have like 5v5 teams fighting each other in a game. We want to kind of offer a new place for them, since I know there used to be a high request for that back when Badlion existed. But yeah, sadly with the shutdown of Badlion, they don't really have a new place to go to for the competitive clans mainly. So yeah, we want to offer a new place for them as well, trying to work closely with some of the big names in that community, trying to design what we want to offer.
Well, very cool. So is this going to be more PvP focused then?
Well, for the competitive side of things, it's probably definitely going to be PvP based, as competitive is mainly PvP. So just like I said, teams fighting each other. But for the casual side of things, we are definitely looking and trying to design a game mode that isn't purely based on PvP, but also on other aspects of Minecraft, being building and survival.
Gotcha. Very cool. So you're trying to hit a few different types of players, which is a great idea because there are a lot of different types of players out there.
Yeah, that was kind of the issue we had originally when we wanted to decide what are we going to focus on, since there's so many servers out there, and there's quite a few big ones as well that have like a big monopoly on some communities, which it's hard to get in. We kind of didn't want to start with just one, but we picked two. So we can decide later on, once we are released, which we want to focus on the most based on which community is giving the server a chance and actually joining it.
Gotcha. How far out are you from launch?
We're getting close. The reason we couldn't really record on it yet is because the maps for it are almost finished, but they aren't finished yet.
Okay.
So you can't really record on them yet because they still have like outlines and everything all over the map. So it was quite hard to record on those. And for the games, they are slowly going into alpha testing phase, which means we are testing it with the other developers, the admins, and the whole staff team. We recently, like last weekend, we did a test on one of them, which went pretty well, which was quite nice to see because, it's really getting closer to a release. And I'm honestly hoping to have it released before the end of summer, hopefully.
Excellent. How long have you been in testing?
We only went into testing I think that test we did last weekend was the first actual alpha test.
Okay.
We did some smaller tests with just the admin team together with the developer to check if everything was working the way we wanted the game to look like. But yeah, we'll hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be starting some more public testing with the community to get their feedback and more testing actually going, because of course, testing a game with 10 people is different than testing a game with like maybe even more people.
Yeah, definitely. I feel you there. And actually, I'm following kind of a similar process with my own server, I'm taking a little bit longer. So I'm doing a slower development phase, but I'm going with we currently are in alpha, and probably in about 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to move into a beta phase. We're still whitelisted, but we're going to start promoting and looking for some more players so we can test out, how does the server handle more players? How do the custom plugins handle more players? And then after that, we'll move to public, hopefully as well by the end of the summer. So I'm glad to hear that that's the process that you're going through, because that's the process that I'm going through.
Yeah, I was just going to say we kind of have the exact same plans. So like I said, alpha phase now is just internal with the whole staff team. Then the beta phase will indeed still not be completely public, but with some people we choose through giveaways or just people who we know have like influence in the communities. And then once we go public, of course, we might still do a public beta, just for like to be able to do a full stress test on the system before actually turning on statistics and leaderboards and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because it can still be quite bad. That like a beta testing with closed testing can go well, but then if you full load the system, things might still go wrong. And then having the stats on already could be bad, because then players can complain saying they're losing their stats and all that stuff, and people don't like stat resets. So definitely, we might still go for a short public beta process.
Definitely,
just to make sure the system can hold everything.
Cool. What when you are going through these processes, like you have your staff that are doing these tests and everything, are they also familiar? Let me back up a little bit. I'm assuming that you're going through this process like I am because of your experience as a developer, right? Now I have experience doing development full time now for almost the last decade. And I'm assuming that you're going through that same type of phase yourself. Are the rest of your staff, are they also developers or have that type of experience?
Well, most of the development team that is working for us has definitely been in like the Badlion community before. So they know how things kind of went when Badlion did like testing on their game modes. So it's definitely that they know how it used to work. I've also explained them the idea we are doing for this testing. So they know how we want to do the testing and the reason behind it. Because I think it's still the best way to do the testing. Also, we just do sort of the same logic at my current job. Where we start with the internal testing, where just the developers are testing their own code. Then you have the more theoretic testing, where people who used to be developers or just do like testing as a job, do some more technical testing, making sure the whole system works. Then it goes into like quality testing, where like the business management team of the company does testing to make sure everything looks like the way they want it and feels the way they want it. And then eventually it goes into production. So that's kind of the same thing we want to do with our testing. So we have the alpha testing being the more technical testing, making sure everything works. Then the beta testing is again a more theoretical testing, but then mainly for load on the system, but also seeing what the people think of it for like the looks and the feels of the game. And then, of course, once it's finished, it goes into release date. So I think that's the same way this kind of testing happens in the normal development world as well.
Yeah. And that's actually really cool to think about, releasing your server with different phases that involve different purposes, right? Like it's not just releasing the server all at once and, trying to get all the software on there and then you say you're done, right? All the plugins and the gameplay and all that, and then you're done. But you also have to test, not just the resources and the software, but also the marketing and, the business development side of things and all of that as well. It's really taking a much more professional look at relaunching a server than to just say, I want to launch a Minecraft server and loading one up. and being
Yeah,
done.
I've seen a lot of people create Minecraft servers and think it's literally just, oh, I'm just gonna set up a few servers, put some plugins on it, make the games work, and that's it. I mean, okay, some actual servers I know have been successful that way because they were lucky. But I've also seen many more fail just because they didn't do that whole thinking process behind it.
There's a creeper following me right now. I want to get back to that subject of, what you see when you look at different server owners and maybe some of the mistakes that they make when they first approach the subject. But before we get into that, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your experiences at Badlion. Now, you spent quite a lot of time there at Badlion. Can you talk about how much time did you spend there, and then also what were your responsibilities? What did you do while you worked at Badlion?
I joined Badlion on the beginning of October 2016, and I stayed there till half June this year. So I've been with the Badlion team for about a year and a half. I was originally hired as a plugin developer, so working on the plugins for all the mini games and servers they had. But slowly on, during the process, I also ended up helping with all the backend development for the whole network. That was my main task I did with Badlion. So the plugin development and then the backend development for the whole network. And then near the end of the time, I also helped out with the Badlion client. I did a few little things on there because I wasn't really a client developer. I didn't really know how it exactly worked. So I first had to spend some time figuring out how client development works, how to create all the mods and all that stuff. And then I spent a few weeks in the end working on the client, getting a few of the mods in there that they are currently offering.
Gotcha. So you've kind of been all over the place with Badlion, but you've got a lot of experience. A year and a half is quite a long time to work with them. So I guess that would probably mean you know quite a lot about the inner workings of that company. I would assume, right? It wasn't like a huge company, was it?
Well, Badlion was owned by a company called Turtle Entertainment Online, which is a sister company of ESL. So it's actually part of a really big company for tournaments and all that stuff. But the project itself, Badlion, was indeed a really small project compared to what they else did inside of the company. So yeah,
cool.
I wouldn't say it's a small company, but it's a small project within the massive company it was part of.
Yeah, I got you. You spent a lot of time doing both the plugin development and also working on the client. Did you spend very much time working with server owners who might have made use of the client or similar plugins to what you were developing?
I didn't really work with any other server owners outside the ones of Badlion itself, mainly because due to the NDA regulations, it is kind of an edge case to work together with other server owners because you have to be really careful that you're not telling stuff to them that you're not supposed to be telling. So I kind of just held a step away from actually working closely with other server owners. But if some people actually came to me asking for a few questions or some small advice, then I would for sure answer them. But yeah, I didn't really work really closely with other server owners during my time at Badlion.
Okay. I'm sure that there are going to be some people who are listening in who are really curious about how you even got hired in the first place. As people really are interested in becoming a full-time game developer or working in the gaming industry. Can you give some thoughts about how you were hired at Badlion and how other people might be able to get a similar position working in the industry?
Sure. So originally, the first time I applied for Badlion was actually 2 years before I got hired. Back then I was just a small Java developer who was just doing some small Java plugins for Minecraft for my own server, just learning some kind of things. But I didn't really do any technical, technical studying or however you want to call it inside of Java. So I knew how to code, but I didn't really know the whole theory about Java development. So back then they said like, look, we don't really see a position for you right now because you don't really have the theoretical knowledge we expect from our developers. So yeah, just get more experience with the theory behind everything. And then who knows what happens in the future. So I actually listened to that. During those 2 years, I did read some books about Java, expanded my knowledge on some more technical parts about Java, which helped me a lot to make my own plugins more stable, make them more optimized, and all that stuff. And then I saw somewhere in August 2016 that they tweeted out they were looking for some developers to hire full-time. And I was like, you know what? I've been doing this Minecraft development for 5 years now as a hobby. I'm really passionate about it. I did the studying they asked for last time I applied for a development position. So, I'm just going to take my chance and see where it goes. If I get a chance to actually start as a developer and turn my hobby into an actual job. And so said, so done. They did an interview, they did some tests, and then I got the news that they want to hire me as a developer. So that's how I got into the position.
That's excellent. That's actually a really cool story too. Is you started off as a Java plugin developer for Minecraft plugins, and you just were persistent and you learned about the theories and became a better developer over time and eventually got a job that you had already applied for 2 years earlier. That's a really cool story.
Yeah, if I can give like one small advice to people who really want to get into the gaming community is expand your knowledge as much as you can. Like most of them probably are already doing some sort of development. So one thing you for sure have to do is just do some personal projects and mess around with things. Try to create some things that they do in the actual game development world as well. So you get a knowledge of that as well. Look up some tutorials or books or whatever on the internet that can help you with that process. And the second thing is to stay motivated. I've had a few friends that work with me on some personal projects I do right now, who sometimes are like, yeah, I don't know how to do that. I really can't do this. And I'm like, yeah, I was like that 4 or 5 years ago as well. But you need to take the effort to look it up on Google, find some books, find some documentation, and actually try to learn it rather than saying, I can't do this. I will never be able to do this.
Yeah.
Because that way you will never get into the world anyways.
That is some really, really great advice. And I think that everybody should definitely pay attention to that sometimes you just need to buckle down and get the work done, and it'll pay off.
Yeah, I mean, I still have moments that I'm like, yeah, I got no clue how to do this, and just get frustrated because of it. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to leave this for what it is right now, going to work on some other small parts, and then I'll come back in a few days with a fresh mind. And then I might actually know the way how to do it. So
yeah,
sometimes it's better to just take a step away, get a clean mind, and then try again a couple days later.
That's great. That's great. So, kind of taking on that advice there, what is the biggest lesson that you learned while you were at Badlion?
The biggest lesson I learned, let me quickly think about that.
No worries.
I think one thing I definitely did learn is that you'll never have to stop learning. I thought like, oh, look, I'm here, I'm at Badlion. I can start as a Badlion developer now, so I'll probably have a really good knowledge. But in fact, I was actually quite surprised in how little I still knew at that point. Of course, I knew more than the other people who applied for the position and didn't get selected. But I still, at heart, didn't know everything that some of the developers already working for Badlion had already of knowledge back then. And so in development, I learned is a world where you never stop learning. Even though you already have a job, you still have to learn every single day. Like, for example, for my current job as well, when I started my first project, I actually had to learn new systems the first 3 weeks because it was a Java-based system, and I know Java, but I didn't know the system they are using the Java for. So I had to learn that whole system. So yeah, that's definitely something I learned, is that you never stop learning.
Yeah, no, that's really great. And I completely agree with that. In all of my time that I've spent as a developer, I am continually learning new things. So that's really great advice, man. I am being attacked by a lot of different skeletons, so I need to just run away real fast. But let's kind of switch gears while I'm running away. And I wanted to ask you some questions about, servers and server owners in particular. How long have you actually been playing Minecraft, and how long have you been playing on multiplayer servers?
I've actually started playing Minecraft. Now I need to do some quick math. Probably about 7 years ago, almost 7 years now.
That's about the same time I started.
Yeah, so I originally started it because I was doing some development / IT education at school. And during one of the IT classes, we got a little bored because we didn't really have much to do. And one of my classmates was actually playing Minecraft, and I never seen it before. So I was like, oh, what is this game? And he told me what it was. He gave me an offline installation on my school PC, so I could just play offline and see how the game worked. And I got quite quickly interested in the game. I bought my own account then, so I could play it at home as well. Actually started joining some online multiplayer servers, but back then the mini games world wasn't really that big yet. So it wasn't really that you had thousands of servers out there where you could just join. It was more just of a small servers that were around there where you could go play some survival or whatever. And then the school year went forward. I started doing some coding in school. It wasn't Java, but it was still some coding, and that's where my interest for coding started to grow as well. And then I found out that Minecraft, which became my favorite game at that point, also has a really open way of doing development for it, creating these plugins and everything related to it. So I started watching some tutorials on YouTube, see what it is to make Minecraft plugins. And so that's how I actually started doing development. I learned Java through these Minecraft plugin tutorials. I started messing around with it, creating some fun plugins for myself, see what I could do. And that's, how my whole story with Minecraft and development for Minecraft started.
When you joined all of those different servers that you started off on early, and even today, what is the first thing that you look for when you join a server to determine, is this a server worth joining? And in fact, what do you think other people look for when they join a server?
I think one of the main steps definitely is the general view you get the first time you join. You can have different ways, like almost every network right now has a lobby where you join and they kind of show off what they offer. It can be different. It can be just something in the map where you can join all the different game modes or mini servers they have. Or you have a menu where you can switch around. So I think it's really important is the way how you show what your server has to offer. which helps people deciding if they want to stay yes or no. Because if you join a server and you don't really know what they offer, the chances that you're going to be staying is quite small, just because you don't know what they are offering and if there's anything that interests you. So I think that's really one of the important things is making sure that you show what you are offering on your server right when they start and join your server.
That's good. That's really good. Now, do you have any specific ways that you would show that to your new players when they first join?
I think one of the ways I would do that is try to get a general theme inside of your server. For example, if you are an RPG type of server, then you definitely want to try and focus on getting a nice theme for your whole server. So people join and see like, oh, this is like probably an RPG server because they have like a whole team they worked out. They focus on like storyline and all that stuff. So that's definitely something I would do. And then the next thing is making sure that it's really easy to find out what is actually being offered, and you don't have like. I've seen servers that have like their spawn point when you join a lobby, and then all the games are displayed in the lobby, but you have to almost walk a minute around before you actually find these places where they are showing off their games. So it's really important that you join and you instantly see it, because some people decide within the first 10 to 30 seconds if they want to stay on the server, yes or no. So if you have to walk around a minute before you find something, then you would already instantly lose those people.
That's a really, really great point. Now, what is the biggest mistake that you have seen new server owners make when they're first getting started?
I think one of the biggest mistakes I've been seeing with not only new server owners, but also owners of servers that are already pretty popular, but then mess up with the next decisions they make for the server, is the motivation why they are doing it. I've always wanted to create Minecraft servers to offer a place for people to have fun, who don't have the knowledge to create these servers, but want to join small servers or just even big servers to just have fun and build up a friend group and all that stuff. But some people that have made mistakes in my eyes is that do it to try and earn money through it. That's something that's always been bothering me so much, is the people that start a Minecraft server hoping they will start earning money from it. And in my honest opinion, if you start with that point of view, you could already just stop it, because you're probably going to make the wrong decisions to try and build up your server, because you will be making decisions rather in a way to try and earn money than instead of making the community happy and actually build up a nice community around it.
That's a very fair point. So do you think that there is room for servers to make money at all? Like, is that a possibility?
I mean, I all get like every server has to make money at some point, because of course the bills to run servers are not very, very cheap. Like all this hardware that you need is definitely not very cheap. It's rather quite expensive, to be honest. So I know that every server has to make money. And in all honest opinion, I think Mojang didn't really make it easy on server owners. Definitely because I get that they want to make a way to force servers to make it fair for everyone, for every player that joins, not only for the players that pay for the server. So I definitely get the point that they want to create an environment where it's not pay to win, where you don't have to pay to get more advantage in playing. But on the other side, only being able to get money basically from selling cosmetics, because that's what the EULA does. It only allows you to kind of sell cosmetics and nothing game advantaging. I think might be like for some servers, it might be quite hard to actually earn enough money to keep going. So that's why I said, like, if you really want to do it for the money, you're probably going to fail because you won't be making that crazy amount of money unless you get instantly really, really big. And the money you will make when you're small is probably instantly going to like server expenses rather than being able to go to your own pocket, for say.
Yeah. Okay. That's more than fair. More than fair. But it leads me to the question of how do you define success for yourself with your server, right?
Yeah, I think the way of defining success is mainly affected by what is your original point of view in why you are creating a server. For example, for me, for Project Borg, I've been owning Minecraft servers for or been part of big Minecraft servers for like 4 or 5 years now. So I'm just doing it more just for the fun. And the reason I reopened Project Borg is to try and bring back the old community that was linked to it, like the small friend groups that used to be onto it. I kind of want to try and bring them back together because myself and I already miss a lot of people that used to be part of it after not really talking to them for 1.5 years, as they all went their separate ways when Project Borg shut down. So I'm trying to kind of bring back a place for them and then also offer a new place for the people that kind of lost that place due to Badlion shutting down. Not only for players, but also for staff who really did a hard job at staffing on Badlion, giving them a new fun place to do their tasks that they had. So I think for defining my own success for Badlion, not for Badlion, for Project Borg, would be just be able to create the environment that I just explained, bring back a few of the old people, give a new place for the old people that used to be on Badlion and have them play. So yeah, I think that's most important for me. And if the server becomes really, really big and really, really popular, then that's nice for me. Then I definitely did more than a good success. But if it just is a rather small server where everyone is having fun, then I call it a success already.
Sure. No, that's really great. So you're really community focused, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely. I want to try and involve the community as much as possible. And like I said, I'm already happy if that becomes a small community with it. Maybe even if it's only like 20 or 30 people online in like the high peaks, then so be it. But that's still 20, 30 people that are having fun because of the work I did. And if it becomes bigger than that, then that's very nice because then more people will get to know each other and more friendships will be built. So that's all nicely taken. But even if it just stays small, then yeah, so be it. I still created a new small community.
I think that's great. How do you engage your community? How do you create an environment where people are having a great time and they want to stay a part of your community?
I definitely think interaction is quite important because I've seen some server owners make the mistake that they make decisions, but they don't really are involved players themselves anymore. So just playing yourself and playing with your community will give you a better view of what the community wants rather than just only listening purely on feedback they give outside of that to you, because it's not the same. People who are enjoying the game actually might be less quickly I can't get the word for it.
That's all right.
Yeah, I'm not native English, so I have issue finding the word right now. They might not be as motivated to go and actually give that feedback that they want to give you, that they are enjoying it. But when you play with them, you actually see that they are enjoying the game and are having fun with what you created. So if you only do like feedback based on like the forums or the Twitter or the Discord or whatever, you'll definitely get some good feedback from it. I'm not going to say that you shouldn't be doing that, but in my maybe only be more the people who really have like that hard opinions, either being really, really good or really, really bad. Than the people who just have like a general opinion and they are just like, yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying this and I'm having fun, but I'm not really going to spend time actually like stating that on the forums or whatever. And then if you play with your community, you will actually see it because you're playing with those people and you see them having the fun they are having.
Yeah, definitely. That is a really great point, is that sometimes if you rely on that type of feedback from people who are passionate, right? Who are going to have strong opinions, that you might not always get the best feedback at all, especially if you aren't playing yourself.
And also one thing that's also affecting is that all people, like everyone knows the community, and some people might just be scared to publicly state their opinions on these platforms, just to not be able, like, getting all the response from all the other people who want to push out their opinions. And they just rather not state their opinions than just to have like play, rather than having to go and interact with all the people who want to give their opinion, which might be completely different than yours. That's
a really, really great point. I really appreciate that right there. Is taking into consideration that, not everybody is the same, and not everybody is going to respond the same way or think in the same way. And so that's really great.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, you definitely have to think about that even you as a server owner might be completely wrong. Like, if someone comes to you and says like, yeah, this game is really like, would be a much better way if you do it this way. As a server owner, you need to be able to accept that feedback and not be like, no, what I want to do is the way it should be done, and I'm correct. No, that's not going to work. You need to be able to accept feedback, which is quite important as a server owner as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, what is something that you wish that somebody would have told you when you first started your Minecraft server, or when you first got involved in the Minecraft server back a few years ago before your time at Badlion?
Something that I would have been wished to have told. I think definitely originally when I started doing all the Minecraft server owning stuff, I didn't really had a big view of what the Minecraft community itself was. And I learned a lot of this during my time as a server owner or developer for servers. And if I would have gotten a nice view of what the community actually was, I don't know if I would still have said that I wouldn't do the ID, but it definitely would have taught me some things to keep in mind during my early stages as a server owner and server developer, as being in how different this community can be. Because I always thought in the beginning, like, you have to try and focus on the whole community. But if you try to do that, you will never succeed, because there's inside of the Minecraft community, you have so many communities, and not only to being Minecraft servers, but also to like the difference between people who just enjoy vanilla Minecraft. You have the people who enjoy the modded Minecraft rather than actually joining multiplayer servers. And then you have the people who enjoy the multiplayer servers. So you have definitely different communities, and you should not be trying to focus on all of them.
With all of your plugins and custom features and all that, are you doing the development yourself or with your team, or are you using any of the publicly available plugins?
We're actually creating our whole own system of plugins, including the backends. That's why it's been taking its time to develop everything, of course, because it's not easy to create everything from scratch. It's quite a lot of work as well. But the reasoning behind that is just being able to customize it exactly the way you need it and want it. Back in the days when Project Pork was just a small tiny server, it was in fact all public plugins. Because I was still I wasn't the original owner who set it up. So the owner who set it up back then didn't know anything about development of plugins and all that stuff. So he did use some public plugins to create it. And then I slowly started creating my own custom plugins for the features we wanted to add, but not the way others or plugins were adding it.
I see.
But now I decided to create my whole own plugin setup to create it's exactly the way I want, together with the whole back end of it, because of course you can like have a network where you just have a few static servers with a few games running on it, but due to how we are trying to set up Project Pork, we need a very flexible setup. So we have a whole system of dynamic servers spawning depending the requirements that the network will need. So basically how many players are joining, what is the request for games and all that stuff. And therefore all our plugins are like built on top of that system to make sure it all works the way we want it.
Yeah, sure. So for, that's a lot of server owners, they don't necessarily have the development knowledge or ability to build their own plugins. Would you recommend that they start with public servers, that they find a plugin developer, that they learn to develop themselves, or all of the above?
I think if you really don't have any knowledge on development yourself and you still want to create a server, I think it is still good to start off with public plugins. And it's totally fine. Like I as well started with a server that was mainly public plugins with a few small custom ones. So it's definitely not a bad thing to do. But I suggest if you are planning on creating your server and you want to make it bigger and bigger as time goes, to try indeed get yourself some knowledge of development. Because at one point you will get to a point where you want to create something, but it's not there in a public plugin. And then you will end up needing some development knowledge to create whatever you want to create. So yeah, I definitely think if you want to create your own server, it's fine starting off with public plugins, but try to get yourself some development knowledge or find someone who does already have that knowledge to help you out. So you can still keep customizing your server exactly as the community on your server wants to have it.
Sure. What kind of tips would you give for a server owner who is looking for a plugin developer to help them, or even just to give them advice and help them make decisions for their server relating to plugins? I don't really know what would be my best tip to find plugin developers, because I haven't really been in the position myself where I had to go and find plugin developers without actually knowing some. Because right now, like all the ones that are working with me on Project Pork were all people I either knew myself or knew through friends that I knew. So that's how I got them. But I think to be honest, in this period of time, it is really getting hard to find plugin developers who want to help you out, just because of the amount of servers that are already out there. And either the plugin developer is either already working for one of these servers, or they are only working and trying to get money from it. Because sadly, back in the days when it wasn't like 3 or 4 years ago, you could go on the Spigot forums or Bucket forums. It could be like, hey, I need a plugin, can someone make it for me? And people would just jump on it trying to make it for you for free, just so they could get some experience and then try that way to get some name build up inside of the community. But I think right now, it's more like just because how many people there are, that people are trying to start to get some money earned through it by saying like, hey, I got a lot of experience. I got a lot of requests because so many people want to start their servers and not everyone has the big knowledge of plugin development. So they're trying to get some more money earned with it, is what I have as a feeling is happening inside of the community right now. I see. Yeah. So it really is important to you that, people don't so much focus on, really at all, the money side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been hardly against trying to focus on money only. I don't know why it's been like that I've always been hardly against it. I guess I'm just more someone who is rather like offering a fun place than actually earning money from it myself. So yeah, I'm sad that the community has become to a point where it's all about money, money, money. And I mean, I agree that that's how the whole world is just built up at this point. Like everything is about money. Even in just normal public things, it's always about money in the end, which is kind of sad, but yeah.
You know what, guys? I actually had one more question I wanted to ask Gyllie because of all of his experience at Badlion. I thought that you would be really interested in this as well. Now, I normally like to ask people, is Minecraft dying? And I think that most of us who hear that question or think about that question we all know that PvP players are often the ones who are loudest to say that Minecraft is dying because of all the PvP changes. So I'm going to ask Gyllie this question, is Minecraft dying? But also, Gyllie, if you don't mind, do you think that the PvP changes are from 1.8 and 1.7, are those destroying Minecraft? Are they killing Minecraft with all the combat changes? Is that a thing?
To say Minecraft is dying, I'm going to answer no. Minecraft itself as a game is not dying because there's still a massive community around the survival and the modded communities inside of Minecraft. So it's definitely not dying. Is the PvP community dying? Yes, it's probably starting to die out slowly. I'm not going to say it will completely die out, but it's definitely becoming smaller and smaller every month. Because more of the community-based Minecraft players are switching over to all the other Battle Royale game modes coming out. So yeah, it's definitely going downwards. And then to state that the PvP change they did in 1.9 killed Minecraft, again, no, it did not. It was a good change for the people who like the modded or the survival part of Minecraft because it's more realistic. Just playing in survival, hitting these zombies and actually having to wield your sword again, because that's more realistic for that kind of part. But it didn't hurt the PvP community. Oh yes, it surely did. They definitely did not like it because people were so used to that kind of PvP playing that they did not like the 1.9 change to PvP because it completely changed the feel of PvP for them.
If you could make one change to Minecraft PvP to try and, get back that PvP community that you say is kind of slowly dying away, what would you do to PvP to make it better?
I don't know. I'm not really a PvP player myself, so it's probably hard to make the correct decision on that. Yeah, I know it's a surprise that I've been a developer for a PvP server, but not a PvP person myself. But yeah, I think to fix it's probably never going to be fixable again. I mean, it got hurt, and the only way to fix it again is just go back in time. Because there's no other way to fix it because all the people already changed and the chances getting them back is really small. But I know Mojang announced they're planning on changing PvP again in 1.14, listening to the community. But in all honesty, I hope they do something in between 1.8 and 1.9 PvP where you still have the fast hitting maybe, but you still have all the features of the shields and all that stuff.
Excellent. Well, that is great. There you heard it, people. A guy who worked for a PvP company, right? The Badlion Network and the Badlion client. Minecraft is not dying, and yes, PvP has been hurt, but there is hope in the future. There is hope. that Mojang will hear the community and make changes for the better for that PvP community. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. Let's get back to the main section of the podcast. This has been a really fantastic conversation, and we have kind of a janky looking shack there. I'm not the best builder when it comes to houses, but
I'm not a great builder. That's why I've just been doing wood harvesting more than actually trying to build something.
Well, hey, it worked. We ended up with a hut of some kind here, and now we just need some sheep or something to spawn in. But you do have a little farm over here, which is great. This has been a great conversation. I have thoroughly enjoyed all of this, and you have a really great, unique perspective with your experiences at Badlion and as a developer, and now as a server owner. Do you have any final bits of advice, any words of advice or comments that you'd like to share here at the end?
I guess advice for people that want to end up creating their own servers.
Yeah, sure.
Just in general.
In general, whatever you want.
Like I already said in the beginning, this is just going to be advice for in general, not just for Minecraft servers, but for any kind of project you want to end up creating. Let's try. Of course, like the first step is work out for yourself what you want to do. It's very important knowing where you want to go and what exactly you want to do, rather than being, I just want to make something and then just start off and see where it goes. I mean, it could work for people, but I think most of the time it's good to have a basic idea of where you want to go and have it set so you know where you have to focus on trying to get. Oh my God, that's a flying animal.
Yes. Yeah,
I've never seen that one.
That's a brand new mob for 1.13. It's called the Phantom. If we don't sleep, then it comes out of nowhere and starts attacking you. But you can get rid of him just by sleeping. Yeah, he's a nasty guy.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, it's quite fancy. Anyways, as I was saying before, I got distracted by it.
Okay.
The first step is figure out what you want to do. The next thing is make sure you have the motivation to do it. Because if you don't have much motivation, you will sooner or later lose the motivation, and it will affect your project really badly, up to a point where you might not even be motivated to work on it anymore, and then your project starts slacking down. And then the final step is to make sure you listen to the people who end up using your project. This can be like for a Minecraft server, it would be the people playing on your server. But for example, myself, I also have my own Discord bot. So I also need to listen to the people who use the bot, what features they want and all that stuff. Like I said, it's really important to also listen to the people using your project.
I think that is all great, man. And really solid. And, when I started this podcast and when I started my YouTube channel, I didn't come in thinking, I'm going to make the big bucks, or, I'm going to be famous, or I'm going to get 1 million subscribers. But there was a different plan. And the motivation that I had was, you can get that phantom membrane there. The motivation that I had was more geared towards, I just want to learn. I want to learn how to be a video editor and a YouTuber, and I want to learn what those challenges are. And I also want to share what I'm learning from people like yourself, as server owners and developers. I'm learning from you, and I want to share that with other people. And that is my motivation, and it keeps me motivated. And I definitely agree that if I just was motivated by money, I would probably not be motivated right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's indeed something that is like mainly something that brings down a lot of people in the world in general, with anything like from going from YouTube to sports to like other projects, is don't do it to become famous or earn the big money, but do it because you want to do it. And then you'll find more motivation to keep yourself motivated throughout the process. And who knows, one day you'll end up being the famous person or the big money earner or whatever. But don't do it just to become like these people.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that is all really great, Gyllie. Thanks again for all of that. Can you give my listeners one last little bit of information about how to connect with you, to follow your project, whether that's Twitter or Discord? And I'm going to leave links down below, or any other way that they might be able to connect with you online.
Sure, we have a Twitter. Let me actually look up the exact tag of it because I know what it is, but I think there's so our Twitter is project_pork. If you want to follow us on Twitter, we try to tweet out a lot to make sure the community knows what's going on. Or you can join our Discord, which you can find on discord.projectpork.net.
That's all great. I'm going to put those links down in the show notes. You guys, I have had a great time, and I hope that you have learned a lot from Gyllie here. So be sure to leave a comment with your gratitude for Gyllie and connect with him at the links in the show notes. Until next time, I think that this is going to be the end of this podcast. I hope that you all enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe so that you can get another one of these interviews next week, and I will see you all next time. Peace.